What's up guys, Squid here back with another video. With the recent commotion Battlefield 6 has caused in the gaming world, I have been hearing a lot of people saying, "Man, this game is just like Battlefield 3 and 4, reliving the glory days." Not gonna lie, as someone who truly loves the Battlefield franchise, this statement really grinds my gears. Enough so that I had to make my next video about this. I'm quite honestly confused when people say this. Battlefield fans really consider 4 to be peak Battlefield? Do I have brain damage or am I living in a different universe? Am I just crazy? I think it is straight up disrespectful to regard Battlefield 4 to the same degree as Battlefield 3. 3 was a significantly better game in essentially every way. Most prominently, 3 had much better map design that synergized with all the game modes well. 4 on the other hand has worse map design that leads to gameplay that feels like you were banging your head on a wall a lot of the time. What exactly makes Battlefield 4 peak Battlefield? I thought Battlefield 4 was an overall solid game, but it wasn't that memorable. In fact, the only thing that comes to mind when I think about Battlefield 4 was that I was so happy a console Battlefield was finally going to be 60 FPS with large servers. I think Battlefield 4's saving grace is that its release coincided with the launch of the new generation of consoles. If Battlefield 3 and 4 were released for the same generation, I think more people would share my feelings between these games. There are no super special formative gaming experiences for me personally in Battlefield 4, and I logged 80 hours in the game back in the day according to battle logs. This isn't an insane amount of time, but it's enough to know a game. I think it is also telling that I stopped at 80 hours, whereas in Battlefield 3 and Bad Company 2 I had hundreds. I went back to check my stats and I was torn to discover that they took Xbox Battlefield 3 stats offline as of November 2024. So unfortunately, I cannot see my hours. On a quick tangent, game preservation is so important, I cannot believe they delisted Bad Company 2 recently. Back to Battlefield 3, I have all the achievements and almost all the DLC achievements. I also remember grinding for this dog tag, which I had a hard time even finding a picture of online. To get the MCOM attacker ribbon, you need to destroy 3 MCOMs in one match of Rush. I remember developing the most optimal tactics for each map to get this done as a solo player. This is one of the countless memories I have of Battlefield 3. I need to make another video on this at some point. In case I am pissing any of you off, I want to clarify that I am sharing my personal, biased opinion. Battlefield 4 is still a great game, but I just think it is not on the same level as 3. It annoys me when people praise it the same. As someone who has a long experience with Battlefield, especially on consoles dating back to 2009, I'm convinced that people who group in Battlefield 4 with the golden era of Battlefield were simply just not around for 3, and that's okay. It reminds me of this meme, except that Battlefield 4 fans are trying to squeeze their way onto the right side of this picture. You will have to convince me otherwise. Something that should be established while talking about this is what defines a great game. There's a separate video about this on my channel, but for this video's sake, let's keep it simple. I believe a good game depends on 3 main things: its overall quality and fun factor, the element of innovation, especially for game franchises, and most importantly, a game's ability to immerse a player in its universe. Both Battlefield 3 and 4 are high quality games that are fun to play. There's no denying that. I think Battlefield 3 is higher in quality even though it is an older generation title. In my opinion, 3 looks, plays, and sounds better. Both Battlefield games also do a great job at immersing the player into the universe, which is a trademark of the Battlefield experience and Frostbite engine. Now, innovation. This is where there's a large gap between the two games. Okay, so where did Battlefield 4 innovate? From what I recall, it was just the 60 FPS and large servers for consoles, and Levolution, which essentially did nothing for gameplay. It seemed to be a wow factor that was effective in selling the game, but immediately wore off upon playing. Otherwise, just from memory, I cannot think of anything else, even though there are probably more small changes. In contrast, let me talk about the other Battlefield games I've played. I think almost every other game did more for the Battlefield franchise as a whole than 4 did. I started with Battlefield 1943 in 2009, first World War II Battlefield on a console. My cousin told me to get this game once I got Xbox Live, and man, he was right. This game was on the Xbox 360 arcade for $15, and it was a complete package of a game. It had a good rotation of destructible maps and a solid arsenal of guns, classes, and vehicles. Especially for $15, it was an amazing game. And being on the Frostbite 1.5 engine, little did I know it was a taste for the next game to come. The next game was Battlefield Bad Company 2 in 2010. I remember seeing the beta on the Xbox 360 dashboard and I was thrilled to play it. I didn't play the first Bad Company, but man, Bad Company 2 is truly gold. This is probably my second favorite Battlefield game of all time. It was a big jump for Battlefield as a whole. A more refined class system, amazing maps, and next level destruction. Just wow. I also have so many memories of this game. My friends and I used to launch vehicles, quote unquote, to the moon with C4 since there was no friendly fire, or we would attach C4 to the drone to kill enemies or even the objective. Yes, back then in Battlefield, you could destroy the objective simply from damage. Eventually, the Vietnam DLC came out, and I think this DLC should be regarded as one of the greatest game DLCs of all time. All new weapons, maps, and soundtrack. It truly felt like a new game, and the whole Vietnam spin was executed so well. One of my favorite memories was getting the achievement Ride the Valkyrie, where you need to get 50 kills with the Huey. It was a struggle. Moving forward to 2011, Battlefield 3 comes out, and it is a massive jump in Battlefield's evolution. Bad Company 2 already innovated and evolved Battlefield a lot, but 3 really took things to the next level. Amazing maps like Operation Metro and Firestorm, Caspian Border, Demovan Peak, Noshar Canals, and Karg Island, just to name a few. We also got jets. The Fault Line trailers were so awesome, and I also remember they had other marketing stuff like a game competition called The Controller, and one of my favorite Halo pros, T-Squared, was in it. Overall, this was an amazing time, and Battlefield 3 is in my top 5 games of all time. I believe this is the game where quote-unquote Battlefield moments were truly created. I miss watching Level Cap, Matimio, and Burger Pal during this time. If you know, you know. In hindsight, I actually can't believe this was a 3-year run. Just wow. Releasing Bad Company 2, then 3 not even 2 years later, I was spoiled to play during this era of Battlefield. Moving on, in 2013, Battlefield 4 launches around the same time as the Xbox One and PS4. It's a great game, and we get to feel the power of the new consoles. Gameplay is similar to Battlefield 3, but with 60 FPS and larger servers. However, I didn't truly fall in love with this game like I did with 3. I really don't have much to say about this game. There were some cool moments and I enjoyed it, but there really weren't any wow factors that titles in the previous generation of consoles offered. Levolution was cool for about 30 seconds, but it didn't really contribute to gameplay. You can argue Battlefield 3 did this better. On Operation Metro, when playing Rush, jets blow the tunnels open once you get past the first set of objectives. On Caspian Border, the tower collapses after a certain amount of tickets are gone. These things didn't change the game, but they helped with immersion. And Battlefield 4 just did this on a larger scale, but it still didn't change the gameplay much. A couple years later, Battlefield Hardline released, and I did not purchase the game. Eventually, in 2022, I would try out the game via Game Pass/EA Play, and I was surprised to really enjoy it. It was different than anything Battlefield has ever been. I thought the campaign was solid, and the multiplayer was okay. It was refreshing to have different weapons and different map design philosophy, and a different setting. I wish I played the game around launch to truly experience it, but overall I appreciate this game for trying something new, which is something that so few games do in this modern age of gaming. In 2016, Battlefield 1 releases, and I was not around for launch. A year later, my buddies convinced me to get the game, and wow, I should have been around. I remember seeing all the marketing, but at the time I lost my love for Battlefield, so I didn't get the game at launch. Around this time, I think I was playing Modern Warfare Remastered, Rainbow Six Siege, and the Master Chief Collection. But wow, Battlefield 1 felt so good. I would still play it. Everything about it, the setting, the guns, the maps, the vehicles, it was all beautiful. They really did something special with this game, and I missed out for not being around. Battlefield 5 would come out a few years later in 2018, but it wasn't anything special. I think a lot of people share this opinion. In fact, the jump from Battlefield 1 to Battlefield 5 is similar to how I feel about the jump from Battlefield 3 to Battlefield 4. I don't remember any massive innovations to bring the franchise forward, and I only played this game via Game Pass with my friends. And lastly, in 2021, Battlefield 2042 comes out. The game was not complete at launch, so I am extra glad I did not buy the game. In the state it is in 2025, it is not a terrible game, but I got to try it on Game Pass. It's not special either. I will give them credit for adding abilities and customizing weapons on the go, which is a really neat addition. I briefly touched on my experience with every Battlefield game since 2009, and I hope it offers some insight as a consumer. highlighting my personal experiences with each installment of the Battlefield franchise and how I think they carried the franchise forward. I place a lot of value on the player experience, which is why mine is the focus of this video. Now, we are in 2025 waiting for the release of Battlefield 6. If the game is on Game Pass, I'll surely be playing, but I don't think I'll buy the game at launch. Please don't pre-order digital games. There is no scarcity for a digital product. Pre-orders were for a better time in gaming, with midnight releases of physical copies that actually sold out. I'm getting sidetracked again. Anyways, if you guys watch any gaming content, I am sure you've heard the same regurgitated opinion. Oh man, Battlefield 6 is going to be the Call of Duty killer. It brings me back to the golden age of Battlefield 3 and 4. I explained why I think Battlefield 4 should not be praised to the same degree as Battlefield 3. So let's continue. You say we will have a game to bring us back to the golden age? By a AAA developer in 2025? In today's industry? You are naive, my friend. We can hope, but it is foolish to say this with such confidence, as few franchises or multiplayer games have been able to do this. I hope you are right, as the new Battlefield Portal reminded me of Forge in Halo. You say that Battlefield 6 will kill COD? I'm sorry, I think you're delusional. I'm no COD fanboy, but let me make this clear if it wasn't already. Call of Duty, although it is not in a pretty state right now, will always be Call of Duty. Battlefield is a different type of game and always will be. There are different experiences, so I don't think it will just replace Call of Duty. The games don't feel the same, and for people who play shooters, that difference is very noticeable. People are talking about these beta numbers like the game has already been released and sold. It seems kind of foolish if you ask me. Again, I'm just convinced it's just half-assed journalism and people are just copy and pasting opinions for quote-unquote content. I know you want to be a content creator and you think gaming is an effective audience, but quit it with this regurgitated slop. Don't be afraid to actually spend some time with a game to write down what you think and how you actually feel. This leads to another topic I want to touch on in this modern era of journalism. In this case, game journalism. Just like with all other kinds of news these days, most reporting is just seeing and regurgitating and sharing extreme takes to get attention. I have a serious problem with attention being more valued than the truth. It's destructive. In my channel, you will find raw opinions from someone who actually plays games and has been gaming for over 20 years. I don't know if it's just me, but after the industry shift to quote-unquote games as a service around 2013, becoming mainstream in pop culture around 2018 with the boom of Fortnite, and then the popularity of gaming during lockdowns in 2020, it feels like game culture became diluted since it has become a product catered to the masses. I miss when games were focused to be good games and not focused to reach massive audiences. I miss the smaller communities with pure interests. I miss game websites, forums, OG YouTube, the G4 channel, and other bits of mainstream media that gaming would sneak its way to. Nowadays, I get fed the same wannabe creators saying the same things without actually saying anything. Just regurgitated slop. It's no different than the news reporting we get today, who just see and share instead of doing any actual investigating. I want to share my thoughts through the lens of a legitimate gamer. If my opinions hurt your feelings, too bad. Instead, I would like you to spark a discussion so I can learn more from you if you have a different opinion. To wrap up this video, I want to reiterate that this is just my opinion. I made this video because words and reporting are becoming meaningless when everyone shares the same opinion. I'm aware that it's a little ridiculous to feel this strongly about two old games, but there's a point under the rant. Words like golden age, S tier, or best should mean something. If we call everything the best, then nothing is. When we flatten all our opinions into the same overblown praise, we stop recognizing what truly stands apart, and we lose the ability to talk honestly about quality at all. Thanks for tuning in. Please share your opinions below and like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Peace.